months pregnant, this is the time where your body starts to shift from being pregnant to getting ready to give birth. Now, some of these changes in month 9 can catch you off guard, especially if you don't know what to expect yet. So in this video, I will walk you through what's normal, what's not normal, how your baby is preparing, and how you can prepare as birth gets closer. And at the end, I will talk about the differences between true and false labor and how you'll know when it's time to go to the hospital. By the way, I'm Diana. I'm a physician assistant specialized in women's health and gynecology. And on this channel, we talk about pregnancy, women's health, babies, and also being a mama. So make sure to subscribe. And then let me know in the comment section if you are pregnant, and if so, how far along you are. Okay, let's start off talking about the baby, because really that's the exciting part. That little person that you have been growing for the last 9 months. And this little baby is pretty close to being ready to come out. Not completely, but if the baby were to be born at the beginning of month 9, so 36 weeks, the baby would be considered late preterm. Now, many babies born at 36 weeks do really well. Most can breathe on their own, and while many can still feed without help, some might need a little extra support because they might tire easily, or they might also have lower blood sugar, and then they may struggle a little bit more with temperature control. Some may need extra monitoring in the hospital, even if they look healthy. So if they were born at 36 weeks, they'll most likely do really well, but it's definitely better if they can continue to grow inside for a few more weeks. And in those few weeks, here is what's going to happen. Inside their little lungs are tiny air sacs called alveoli. These are what allow oxygen to move into the bloodstream once the baby starts breathing air. And the last weeks of pregnancy, these air sacs continue to develop and increase in number. Your baby is also producing more of something called surfactant. Now, surfactant is a slippery coating inside the lungs, and it reduces the surface tension, which prevents the air sacs from collapsing when the baby breathes out and makes it much easier for the lungs to expand when they breathe in. The more surfactant there is, the easier it is for the lungs to stay open after birth. And this is one of the biggest reasons the final weeks of pregnancy really matter. Now, the brain is also growing rapidly right now too. Now, even though the brain has been present all along, month 9 is when the brain connections increase really quickly. The brain surface becomes more folded, and these folds help with processing and learning. The nervous system is practicing coordination, and this helps with feeding, regulating breathing, and also controlling body temperature after birth. Now, another major change in month 9 is fat gain. Now, earlier in pregnancy, the babies are building organs and structures, but now they're making fat under the skin, and this fat helps your baby to maintain body temperature once they are no longer living inside the warm environment inside your body. It also provides energy in the first days of life while feeding routines are still being established. Because of that fat gain, babies often gain about 1/2 pound per week near the end of pregnancy. And while weight increases quickly during that time, their length doesn't change too much. So this is where your babies get those adorable baby folds and chubby kissable cheeks that we love. Now, your baby is also practicing important skills to prepare them for life outside the womb. For example, they are swallowing, they're opening and closing their eyes, and they are also listening to you, to your partner, to music, and to your heartbeat. So talk to them, sing to them, because they are listening, and they will recognize your voice after they're born.
Hey! Hello in there!
Now, when the baby reaches 39 weeks, they will officially be full term, and unless there is a medical reason to deliver earlier, providers often aim to let the pregnancy reach at least 39 weeks. Now let's talk about you. And I know this is one of the toughest parts of pregnancy, or at least it was for me. And I don't want to make anyone dread this period of pregnancy, because it's still an amazing thing, but the belly really starts to get heavy and in the way. Some of the most common symptoms that you'll notice in this final stretch is heaviness and pressure because of your growing belly. Now, if you just want to sit on the couch all day and do nothing, just remember you aren't actually doing nothing. You are growing a person. And even when you aren't up at the office or cleaning or working out, your body is still burning a lot of energy. So be good to your body, and offer yourself some grace if you really need to rest. Now, pressure seems to be the #1 complaint at this point because your baby is lower in your pelvis, which means more pressure on your bladder, your pelvis, and also your hips. And that pressure on your bladder means you might feel like you constantly need to pee, even right after you peed, and that's normal. The baby's head is presenting direct pressure on your bladder, and there's not much room left in there. A couple of things that might help is to try leaning forward slightly when you urinate to fully empty your bladder. Also avoid fluids right before bed. Urinating before you go places, and then also take note of where public toilets are when you are out and about because you are most likely going to need to use them. Now, one of the things that your body is doing naturally during this point is releasing a hormone called relaxin. Now, relaxin does exactly what the name implies. It relaxes. It relaxes your ligaments and tendons in your body, which is really helpful for when the baby's head is making its way through the pelvis outlet during labor. But it can also mean hip pain and low back pain. So some things that you can do to help with that: avoid sudden movements, keeping your knees together when getting out of bed and the car, and then sleeping with a pillow in between your knees. Now, a lot of women feel some relief by wearing pregnancy support belts. This is my old pregnancy support belt. This is pretty basic. It's just one band, and it just wrapped around my back and underneath my belly, and it offered some really amazing support. But they can get more robust than just this, giving you support over the shoulders, under and over your belly, and even around your legs to offer lower pelvis support. Now, sleep can get harder in month 9, not just because of back and hip pain, not just because you have to pee multiple times throughout the night, and not even just because the babies are often the most active when we lay down to go to sleep at night, but also because your body is naturally more alert as birth approaches. You may wake up frequently, feel restless at night, or have vivid dreams. And when I say vivid, that's putting it mildly. Sometimes we can really get weird dreams. I did. Let me know in the comment section if you have weird or kooky dreams right now. But anyways, instead of aiming for perfect sleep, because you're probably not going to get it, just being honest here, focus on getting as much rest as possible. So nap when you can, lower your expectations, and then try to make your sleep environment as supportive as possible. So lots of supportive pillows, make sure to sleep on your side. But if you were to wake up on your back, it's okay. Don't panic, just roll over back to your side and go back to sleep. Also, warm, not hot, baths and gentle stretching before bed can help ease tension. I've done an entire video about how to get good sleep when you're pregnant. I'm going to link to that right up here. Make sure to check that out after you get to the end of this video. But you might also notice changes in your digestion. So heartburn, nausea, or even looser stools. As your baby drops lower, pressure in your stomach can ease heartburn for some, but for others, digestion can feel kind of unpredictable. So eating smaller meals, staying upright after eating, and keeping meals simple can help. Now, emotionally, month 9 can feel intense. You might feel excited one minute and then overwhelmed the next, especially if it's your first. But even if it's not, you might feel impatient or really emotional. And you might also feel a sudden burst of focus and energy on preparing your space for the baby. This is called nesting, and it's totally normal. It's just your brain preparing for birth and caregiving. So if you feel really motivated to clean out the toy closet or start preparing frozen meals or whatever, go with it while you have the energy. Now, if anxiety creeps in, grounding techniques can help. So slow breathing, gentle movements, talking through your fears, or reminding yourself that your body has been preparing for this for months. As you move into month 9, your OB appointments usually change a bit. You are going to start having more frequent appointments, usually weekly at this point. At these appointments, your OB or midwife will check things like your blood pressure, your baby's heart rate, and baby's position. They may offer to check your cervix to see if there are changes happening, but they aren't required to, and that doesn't predict when labor is going to start. Now, a lot of people ask me about the Group B strep test and why they need it. So let's talk about that. The Group B strep test, or GBS, is a routine screening test done between 35 and 37 weeks. Group B strep is a common bacteria that many people carry naturally in their intestines and in the vagina, but it usually doesn't cause problems for us. But if GBS is passed on to the newborn, it can cause problems for them. Problems like breathing difficulties, infection in the blood, or less commonly, meningitis. The test is really fast and it involves a simple swab that goes into the vagina and the anus. It takes like 1 second, maybe 2. If it's positive, antibiotics are recommended during labor to reduce the risk of passing GBS to the baby during birth. And if it's negative, then no treatment is needed. These OB visits are a really good time to ask questions, review your birth preferences, and make sure that you feel clear on what to expect in the coming weeks. Now, one important thing in month 9 is knowing when to call your provider. You should reach out if you notice any of these things right here. But also, if there is anything that doesn't feel right, trust your instinct. If something feels off, it's always better to check in with your OB or your midwife. Month 9 isn't about doing more, it's really about listening to your body more. And also resting when you need to and preparing mentally for labor rather than trying to control every outcome. Now, one of the best ways to prepare for the big day is to take a prenatal and labor prep course. Now, there are a lot of great options out there, but if you want the most comprehensive course taught by a physician assistant who's been there on both sides of the examination table, consider starting Own My Birth Labor Prep course, where I will help you go from being uncertain about labor to approaching birth confidently and also calmly without any unnecessary stress. Not only will you learn about proper nutrition, exercise, breathing, and pain management techniques, but I will also walk you through how to advocate for yourself and make decisions during labor so that you can walk into birth feeling prepared and grounded and also confident in the choices you make. I will link to Own My Birth in the video description. This can make all of the difference in how you feel approaching labor. Now, speaking of labor, let's talk about how you know when you are going into labor, because this can be the time when we start to really evaluate every tightening, every cramp or contraction, and wonder if it's real or if it's a Braxton Hicks contraction. So, here's how you know. If you feel contractions or tightening across the belly that come and go, and they don't follow a regular pattern, and when you rest, they slow down or go away, these are usually Braxton Hicks or practice contractions. If you feel contractions that become stronger and closer together over time and they don't go away with rest, that's more likely to be true labor contractions. And keep in mind that you don't have to rush to the hospital as soon as you realize that you are in labor. The question of when to go to the hospital is always a question that I get. So a good way to remember is the 5-1-1 rule. If your contractions are 5 minutes apart, each contraction lasts 1 minute, and that pattern has been consistent for at least an hour. So when your contractions are 5 minutes apart, last for a minute, and have been going on for an hour, that usually means that labor is active enough that it's time to head to the hospital. Now, there are important exceptions to this. If you know that you labor quickly or you've had a vaginal birth before, your provider may want you to come in sooner. The same thing goes for if your water breaks, if you have heavy bleeding, or if your baby's movement changes, or if something else just doesn't feel right to you. The 5-1-1 rule is a helpful guideline, not a rule that you have to force yourself to follow. So if you're ever in doubt, calling your provider or going into labor and delivery is always the right move. Now, if you want to know more details about what true labor feels like, I will link to my video that dives into all of the labor symptoms, which I will link to up here. Otherwise, if you are new to my channel, subscribe and then head over to my week-by-week pregnancy series, especially important now in month 9 as labor is approaching. I will go into more depth about each week of pregnancy and everything you need to know about that week. I will link to that right here. Click on that and I will see you over there.